in women's football.
Alright guys, welcome to the new podcast. Who had this idea of starting this?
Certainly wasn't me. I'll be honest, when I came to the club 4 years ago, I had no idea that this was what I was signing up to do. So.
Yeah, I agree.
To be fair though, I just think this day and age, everything's all media, innit?
Yeah,
social
100%.
media.
Yeah.
And for a club like this.
I mean, I can tell you all about it. I'm doing a degree.
Was it your idea? No, but I'm just, it'll just, hopefully, it'll just help us continue to build a following, but then also, as we mentioned in the start of it, hopefully gives other people a chance to promote their club and just think to keep going with women's football. Was that a mini Daddy Long this? Just to help obviously keep building with football. Do you know what I mean? I think that's, hopefully it can do that, but time will tell, won't it? People might think we're boring as fuck.
No, I think you're fun, you
We're
know.
a laugh.
I think you're fun.
Thanks, mate.
I mean, make sure I'm in the starting 11 though.
I'm not the manager when I'm sat here doing the podcast.
We'll start by asking you, Phil. So how did Unity come about?
Well, obviously 2019, I was working at Rochdale Football Club, your club.
Yep.
Little less said the better. No, obviously I was working with the community trust actually, coaching in schools and stuff. But then also, got involved with the girls' football teams. I was coaching. What was it now? Was it the? You might not have told you everything. Under 12s, is it? Something like that. I think it was under 12 girls. But then also, one of my best mates at the time, Jess Bambo, was playing for the women, so I used to go down and watch the women, and obviously
she plays for us now, so
But yeah, so then basically, long story short, I guess, there's a couple of things at Rochdale that I didn't really agree with. First of all, myself and the girls of the under 12s and the parents, we really turned around what was happening with that team, and the girls were buzzing, and we got some momentum. We started to actually get results and stuff. So, but we ended up having to fold that team to basically facilitate the year above and the year below. And some of them girls weren't ready to go up. Some of them were too good to go down. But unfortunately, the priority was the other two teams. And the girls are in tears. The parents were gutted. I was gutted. But then I didn't carry on then to any of the other teams. I just got on with my community stuff. Went to watch the women a lot, and then a couple of them that I knew ended up basically feeling like they got bullied, made to feel like they shouldn't be playing football. And again, just one of them said to me one day, I'm not playing football anymore. I don't feel like I should be playing football anymore. And I said, no, you're not doing that. Let's make one and do it in the way that we think is the right way.
Let's start a podcast.
5 years later, and hopefully you can tell the story of it in more depth. But being honest, the club was set up to just give girls and women the best possible environment, the best possible opportunities. Wanted them to feel valued, confident, comfortable, happy. Make sure there was no how would you describe it? Just making sure that everyone was together, and hence the name, obviously. Yeah. Unity. I wanted the name to mean something.
Yeah. So. I mean, as a player, I can confirm.
Yeah. It's like you've been with us since day one, and you've had a bit of a.
Yeah, I can relate on the Rochdale thing. Like it weren't as, and it's this point for me because I'm a Rochdale fan. It was definitely not what I expected.
But again, no, it's not. I'm not trying to badmouth Rochdale. I think everyone has different experiences at different places. Like, I think if you look at Rochdale now, they've done much better with it.
Yeah.
I just had obviously a bad experience there with certain people that weren't necessarily the club. Obviously, I joke with you because you're a Rochdale fan, but nothing against the club, nothing against the people either. I think from experience, good or bad, you learn from it. I learned so much from that experience, and everything happens for a reason, and obviously went down the Unity path now, and I can't say I regret anything that happened now where I'm sitting today with it. So
I can't ever imagine being in a position where I just go, right, I'm setting up a football club. Like, at what point do you sit at home and go, right, this is what I'm doing? So that's
when you have someone close to you in absolute, in tears, heartbroken. To be fair, for me as well, I wanted to. I've been coaching for a long time, but I wanted to go into the adults game 11v11 because I wanted to go down the badges route and get me UEFA B and hopefully get the chance to go UEFA A.
I mean, since you're talking about that, what's your resume? The big Phil Burke.
There isn't one.
The one.
There isn't a big Phil Burke resume.
I mean, the one that's. I mean, you built this team and then went unbeaten for how many years? It's crazy to even think about that. So like, when people hear that, so when I hear that, I'm like, oh my goodness, how good is Phil Burke? Like, how good do you think?
I mean, for me, I'm not the one who's out there winning the football matches. That's the players.
Yeah.
Like you know how it works.
Yeah,
it's not
100%.
This isn't a Phil Burke story.
Yeah.
This isn't a Phil Burke success.
But
was at the start, as in like when you made
I know
the
I've
club,
played
yes.
my part, but when you talk about going unbeaten, that's the players.
Yeah.
Obviously, I did
but
it.
it's your tactics. I know it's the players.
Well, no, yeah, me and the
performing
staff
it,
give them the foundation, but at the same time, I mean, we've had games this year. We give you messages if you don't carry them out, or if you do carry them out. That's not down to me. That's down to the players. And over the last 5 years, honestly, there's not one player I could say a bad word about. Every single player who's played, and person to be fair, has played a massive part in what Unity was, has been, is now, and will become. Like every single player and person who's played a huge part. Like these people who were there in the first year that I could reel off so many names to you.
I'll be honest though. To be honest, at the start, when you're talking about the first season and stuff, obviously before we get into like season by season,
playing in the field, doing
you remember that.
When you were saying about like players playing the part and stuff, arguably the players in the very first season are more important than any other player that's come and been and gone, because if it didn't work in the start in the first year, like the club wouldn't have done anything.
Yeah.
So to manage to carry through that.
If you think in the first year, you I don't know if you remember as much as I do.
Yeah, first game was like
away in Stoke.
Like Port Vale or something like that. We didn't even have a kit.
Well, no, yeah. So for example, like I know you briefly mentioned a minute ago, at the very first session was just a group of random people coming together on a field behind. What cricket club was it? Behind
it was in Rochdale.
Was it Bamford or something like that? Was it Bamford Cricket Club? I don't know, but there was a random field behind a cricket club, and we basically just met there one Saturday or Sunday afternoon, and me and my cousin Ryan, who was with me at the start, just seen a football net in a bush. So we basically, I don't know if you remember that, but we pulled the net out of the bush, and then there was another one, and there was like holes in the ground. So we pulled these nets out of the bush, probably weren't supposed to, put them in the holes. We had like a little icebreaker, didn't we, where you're asking each other random questions.
Animal, shoe size.
Yeah, there's some awkward things.
Yes.
Shoe size. I hope you didn't sign players on the shoe size.
That was just for them, because it was, as I say, there was about 25.
Yeah, there was quite a few.
And I couldn't, I'll be honest, I was at that field, I couldn't believe them.
Where did these players come from though?
Well, I think, obviously, I mean, Liv will want me to give her a shout out. She says, "Oh yeah, man, I bring you all these players." Or she brought quite a few players, but then I think it was just like people who knew people who knew people. Like I know there was a couple of you who came from Rochdale.
Yeah, there was a few.
But then there was like
Maya went from Rochdale.
Yeah. Well, I think she trained there, didn't she? So I think it's just people just come across each other or knew people, and it just ended up with this group that come down on that first day. And a high percentage of those people actually signed on. But as you say, we went into pre-season, we didn't win a football match, we didn't have a kit. I had to tell them just to turn, because everyone got black t-shirts, black shorts, black socks. Everyone's like, yeah, just like, Jay, you wear a different colour, or obviously Net, you wear a different colour. Whatever colour you've got will do. And then first game went to Stoke, absolutely pissing down,
Yeah.
freezing on this pitch with a massive hill behind us.
Oh,
Got hammered 10-1, we were buzzing that we scored.
Yeah.
Like, it was like, and then we went into pre-season, didn't win a game, and the last day of pre-season played Urmston away.
Yeah.
I think we played 3 lots of 30 minutes. Drew
Is that the one
4
where they
off.
said football's not a contact sport?
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Um,
crazy.
Yeah, football's
Oh.
not a contact sport, I know.
and then obviously the first game we went into at Crompton and we ended up winning 7-2. It was incredible. But in that first year, as you said, we've had so much contentment. We didn't have a kit, didn't have a home ground, didn't have a training ground, we didn't have... I'll be honest, we didn't really have a plan. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
And then
just play
also,
football.
we had COVID in the first year.
Yeah.
Oh,
So then to get through COVID for a team that's not even been going for a year, not even played a full season, the season got curtailed in like March maybe. So at that point it was like, I'll be honest, I was a bit worried thinking, I mean, it was all unknown at that point.
Where did the kit come in then? Did you start the season with no kit? As in
No,
the actual...
No, to be fair, I managed to get a kit. We had Fit Camp who managed to sponsor it with Keely and Leanne. I did some work for them in the summer that we set it up, and they just wanted to obviously help me make sure that, because obviously their gym was all about empowering women.
Yeah.
So we kind of fit each other's ambitions. They paid for the kit, made sure that we had a kit which was massive at the time, and then the away kit actually won a competition on Deliveroo. So I managed to get an away kit with Deliveroo.
But that was a relief.
So
Get in,
sponsored
away kit.
by Deliveroo.
Yeah, Deliveroo on the front, got it for free.
Yeah, I remember that one actually. Yeah.
Obviously the own kit that Fit Camp sponsored was Joma.
Yeah.
That was like black with a
Style,
yellow trim and
going on.
yellow socks on it.
Yeah.
Back then I looked at them kits, I was like proper buzzing.
Yeah.
Now you look at the kits we've got now and I'm like,
It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's so good.
but again, like them kits meant so much to us. You know, we're not turning up in whatever you can find in your drawers or wardrobes. Like, I mean, I remember as well. I said this. We spoke about this the other day, but I was finding whatever sports gear I had, go into a local printer and just go, you stick a badge on there.
Yeah.
So I'd like Nike trackies, Adidas, like quarters, a body warmer were a thing
Is
back
that
then.
for players?
No, that was like me. Like the
Oh,
players,
okay,
obviously.
yeah.
I mean, training. We didn't have training kit.
Yeah.
We didn't have training. The playing kit was obviously something that we managed to get, but training kit didn't come for a bit until you came in. That was it. We had that. We were trying to get stars out further than John. But yeah, I was just finding whatever sports gear I had at home already and just getting the Unity badge. Just
Where did the badge? Obviously, before that first session, then did you have the name, the badge, all lined up ready to go, or was it just a case of like,
no.
like first session and go right?
I'll
Well,
do that. I'm trying to think. Before that first session, obviously, I spent quite a few weeks leading up to it. Obviously, like what we're going to call it, what we're going to do about a badge, where we're going to train, where we're going to play, what league do we go in, how do I get players. And there was all kinds of, what's the cost, how do I find money, because I'm not rich. Do you know what I mean? But I had to put a lot of money in at the start, and but as I said earlier, we didn't really have a plan. I'm trying to remember if, I mean, I don't know if you remember, did I put out an advert, was there a name? I don't know. I think I was doing my own stuff, so I don't know if I put out, was it not Phil Burke football development at first, not the team?
No, it's always really
Sure, it's
been.
something
It's
like
always
that.
really been Unity.
No, yeah, I mean like before that first session. Because that's a good question. I can't remember if I had the name. I don't think I did.
No, I think.
I don't think I had the name. I think it was just we put out there, we're starting a women's
So how
football
did
team.
it come about then?
Just sat at home going through all kinds of different things. You had
So
random
you
things going
went,
into your mind.
well, I'm a Manchester United fan, so Mancunian Unity is the
MUFC.
closest.
And
Do you
you
know what?
now it's in the
You know what?
It's
When
now
I,
in
when,
UFC.
I, when I did my tattoo, right, I was gonna put MUFC. I was like,
I can't do that.
no.
She's a City fan, man.
I
so
will
there's
not
no way
do
she can do
that.
that.
I literally
But-
looked at it. I was like, I'm not doing it.
I'll be honest, that actually wasn't intentional. Like hand on heart, the abbreviation being MUFC was not intentional. But it was for me. There was a couple of things, and I'm not trying to like pluck on heartstrings or nothing, but the first thing was that I wanted. I was like proud to be a Manc.
Yeah.
Like when I worked abroad for 5 years, I'd always like
In America.
I'd be proper, and I'd be proper like proud that I was a Manc. Like, I know you're like, I'm not a Manc, and I always say to him, you're a Manc, you're born in Manchester. But I was proud to be a Manc, so I wanted something to do with Manchester in it. And I was obviously there's a couple of things in Manchester in it, but I think a couple.
Come on, enlighten us then. What were the other names that? What other names could we have been sat here going? It was Manchester Rovers.
I wonder if.
That's terrible.
It's not really a
terrible.
team called Manchester Rovers. Yeah. So be careful what you say.
Apologies to Manchester Rovers.
I'm trying to, was it like? I wonder if I've got a list on my phone. I haven't got my phone. My phone's recording. But no, honestly, it was. I'll have to come back to you on the next one on that. But I'll do some research and try and pluck out some names. But you just come out with random stuff. Like you'd say Manchester, and then another word after it. Like there might have been something like Manchester. Like Manchester B Avenue.
Oh.
Do you know what I mean? Like stuff like that, or like Manchester B Athletic. Or like Mancunian, it was all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
But it was like, it was trying to go with Manchester something. But then it's like, you got Man United, Man City, Manchester Rovers, you had all kinds of ones. So how can I do something different to Manchester that hasn't been done?
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm proud to be a Mancunian. That's how the Mancunian come about, and then there was all kinds of stuff coming after that. The B, obviously, the first B we had. Not got the old flag up, have you? But the old B that we had was literally the Manchester B taken. Oh, right. And then Liam from Infinite Visuals, who does the kit reveal videos, he just put our own little spin on the Manchester B, but it was the actual Manchester B. But I think the stripes were taken off the actual, it's like the bottom part of the body part of the B. Yeah. And then put onto the top part of the B. And there was things on the wings, I think. But
I've got it right.
Oh, there you go,
here,
yeah. So I don't know if you want to show one of the.
It's actually crazy.
But you can see really here. Hard. So the stripes aren't on the bottom part. Yeah. Stripes at the top, and then instead of it coming across, it was more horizontal, and there's a little thing across the wings, and.
It's actually really cool.
Yeah, so that was basically. Yeah, but I sat in Liam's living room with him, and just on a computer, and I was just trying to bring to life things I was saying to him, and again. I was coming out of all kinds of random stuff, but my favourite colour at the time was orange and black. So initially, Unity was actually going to be black and orange. Oh, wow. So then, but I looked at the badge and thought, no, it looks like sick.
Looks like sick.
The badge, it didn't look good. Well, Liam just turned it into yellow. I was like, yeah, I like it. Yeah, I like it. He was like, I thought you wanted orange. I was like, I did, but I like that.
No, yellow.
No, we got the new badge.
And by the way, I'll embarrass him a bit. Added your name on it, didn't it? The first
badge.
Oh, yeah, no, there was a reason for that though. That's what I was saying to you before.
It did have
no, you know I hate that. Because when I first did it, so when I left Rochdale and I was working for myself. So I was doing like one-to-ones, I was doing like development sessions, I was going down to fit camp and doing football sessions there, holiday camps, there was stuff like that, and I wanted it to
link.
I wanted to try and promote both together. Yeah. And then I got some bad advice and got told, right, you just put one badge and stick your name on it so they know it's you. But after like a month, I was like, I don't like this. As soon as I actually got the T, I was like, get that off. Yeah. But unfortunately, it was already on that first kit.
I reckon that was one of the first, when we had the first conversation before I came into the club. You were like, well, first things first, I've got to get my name off the badge. That was pretty much the first thing.
I've never wanted it to be about me, and obviously I was trying to promote work and the team at the same time, but yeah, no, I didn't like it. Did not like it.
Like I said, we've got a new badge now, and it's more, up to date with the.
That's it. It's just that just looks more.
I like this.
I love it's the tiniest little thing, but I love the crown and the irony because obviously we are champions.
Yeah, I mean, I actually think that's actually more so to represent. Right, I think it's meant to represent Queen Bee. So
right. Okay.
To represent women's football.
Yeah.
So I didn't make this one.
Maybe that's why I look.
Right, Phil on that wing.
So when you first set the club up, Phil, like compared to like what the club's achieved now, I bet you in your wildest dreams, like looking back, you wouldn't have even suspected for it to be where
No,
it is.
no. I mean, I'll be honest. Like, I mean, again, we speak about stuff like this all the time, but Danny asked me. We were out last Saturday, weren't we? And we were talking about Unity quite a lot last Saturday, as you can imagine. Us two don't talk about anything else. Boring bastards. Fucking boring guys, man. Go to the pub and we only talk about his Unity. But no, when I first set it up, honestly, like the only ambition was to give, first of all, the people I knew, including yourself, who had a tough time at Rochdale, a better place to be, and then obviously try and bring others in and give them the same. And it wasn't about trying to go pro, trying to climb the leagues, trying to win things. It was all about enjoyment. Anyone involved just wanted them to love it. Win, lose or draw, I just wanted them to love everything about them. I wanted to, me as a coach, I've always took my coaching seriously, so that's always been the same. I'm very ambitious as a coach, and when I first set up the club, I still wanted to go pro in coaching. I still wanted to go on the journey that I've always wanted to go on as a coach. I wanted to make sure that my training sessions were were intense. Make sure I had a way of playing. Make sure that the girls are being developed. Make sure they went away from training feeling like I've took something from that. Yeah. And then as we went on week by week, month by month, they started to feel that they were becoming much better players, much more knowledgeable players. And again, that all came into the thing of making them feel that they can be the best that they can be. Yeah. And then, thankfully, them being the best that they can be, it's obviously started to take us a long way on the pitch as well.
Just on that then, when you said about the like training and stuff, were numbers good like instantly at training, or did it take you a while to like develop that like where you'd have 12, 14, 16 at training?
No, again, I think I was pretty lucky really with the people that came in. So I mean, you remember as well, but that first session, again, we had 20 plus. I know that's like a new thing, people coming down and see what it is, but once everyone got signed on, I don't think we ever really, I think we've always had good numbers. like 16 plus really. You have the odd one, obviously. Yeah. Where I've never had a training session where I've had 10.
No,
12.
I remember when we used to be able to go on the pitch, like just the field, and you'd end up breaking the session down into like 3 different groups. Remember that? Like there'd be like fitness and the different fitness drills.
Yeah.
It was able to have a good number of groups doing 3 different fitness drills.
Yeah, we were training at Fairgrove.
Yeah, I think it was Fairgrove. It's that bit where you pan and you come around.
Yeah, massive field, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I know. Obviously, we did.
Did the COVID training
there, yeah. But like
someday that.
But what was the question? Did you ask me a question?
No, just saying about like how
you training
having good numbers.
Numbers. Our numbers have been honestly like really good all throughout. I mean, I remember the first winter training we got was kind of long. We only had an hour on the pitch. Yeah. But I've never felt. But I've never felt that an hour of training has ever been enough. Yeah. So I always wanted to try and give more. So what we actually did is we turned up an hour before training. We had a quick team talk and like did a little bits and bobs on this. We had a tiny tactics board back then. And then we went on road runs together. Yeah, from Cardinal Langley to we went down to Hotwood, did hill sprints. Yeah. Then we went down towards Borsha, back round, did some stretches, and then got on the pitch and did our training stuff for an hour.
But then at least you've got an hour doing stuff with a bar.
Yeah, but then that developed then into. We started to do drills on the playground in the dark, didn't we?
Yeah, I remember that.
So I remember doing one where the team weren't like talking, so I ended up getting this like the dog toy.
Oh, it's chicken. A duck. Was it duck? No, it wasn't.
It's a chicken. And then we basically.
Still in your bed bag, that thing.
We basically just made up this game where it was a bit like netball, but like I called it zone ball, but without a ball. There's a squeaky chicken. So like you throw it and as you catch it, it's like you had to like try and work the chicken into an end zone, and it was to work on movement off the ball, communication, and it worked, didn't it? We had a great performance that weekend. But then that progressed into we had the sports hall an hour before the AstroTurf. So we went into the sports hall and I used to teach fitness classes, didn't I? You wouldn't think it, but like I used to teach fitness classes. Because when I worked abroad and I used to teach
Did yoga
Les
there
Mills,
once
like
as well?
like Tai Chi.
I think
Pilates.
we should do that now as well.
I'm not doing that now.
Oh, okay.
We can bring someone in, but
Some
I ain't
yoga.
doing. Yeah, I ain't doing that. I mean,
love yoga.
literally.
We got Lisa.
But to be fair though, the girls took me so serious. The girls now would not take me serious leading a yoga session.
No.
But that was it back in the day. That was. It was mad when you actually start to think about. Because I don't really think about these things anymore.
No.
When you sit down and you talk about it, and things just come back to you. I just remember us. Again, like, we sat there, everyone had a mat in the sports hall, again, there's 20 plus of us.
Yeah.
I'm at the front of it, trying to, like,
Do yoga.
smash off this, like, full fitness class, and I'm trying to remember it from 3 summers before. And the girls were proper bought into it and
But
smashed it.
to be fair, back then, I feel like girls wouldn't take what they had in football for granted because obviously they wouldn't get it anywhere else.
No.
And today, you've got so many, like, women's football team or girls' football team that you would never ever think that back then we didn't have anything.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like that's why today we're like more like, we joke about and stuff like that.
No,
But
you're
then
probably
back
right.
then we take it seriously because obviously what you were doing, we didn't have it anywhere else.
Yeah. But that was what we were trying to be different to everyone. And look, when you're in it, like, what I'm talking about, obviously we wanted to love it. Nobody loves to lose.
No.
And that's not in my nature. And to be fair, again, I was really fortunate.
Yeah, tell me about it.
I mean, come on, you can't talk.
I hate losing, but come on, you're worse than me.
But like, I was fortunate because the women we had, the people we had, they wanted to win as well. So that again, they bought into it, and we worked really, really hard. And and it ended up being 2 hours a week that we had. And I remember one of the first things I said to you when you came in is, we need 2 training sessions. And I said to you, I think it'll change the whole dynamic for us. And it did in the end, yeah. But what we did in that first year, it worked really, really well. And we ended up doing remember 3v3s?
Yeah.
We got in trouble because the ball ended up hitting the roof and we took out one of the...
It's lovely.
I know, one of the tiles and stuff, so...
Brilliant.
Yeah, they're like, can't play football in there, but we used to sneak football and do it anyway.
How did you even afford to do this stuff? Because obviously you said about putting your money in yourself at the start to get it going, but you couldn't have done that just all season. I presume most of it came from player fees. Did that cover everything? Did it? But with fee with home ground, pitches, training, referees, kit.
Yeah.
I know what you said about kit with Fit Camp.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, the costs were as high as they are now, so it was obviously a little bit easier.
Yeah.
So the subs, because as I've said there, especially when we were only training for technically 1 hour, we were only paying for 1 hour of training a week until we started to do the sports hall, but that came quite late on. So for the first maybe 8 months, it was just 1 hour of training. And with that didn't cost that much. Referees' fees weren't as much, so the fees did manage to cover the hour of training and obviously the home games that we had, but nothing else. That was it. So there was no trying to build a pot, and then anything else. So all the equipment I bought myself and anything else I needed, I tried if I could supply myself. If not, I try and lean on people or just say to the girls should we all chip in?
Yeah.
Yourself, place that. Can we all chip in a couple of quid and try and get this, that, and the other? But we made do with the very little we had, being honest.
Yeah. I mean, today we've got sponsorships as well.
Yeah.
Back then, obviously.
Firstly, we had Fit Camp, but it was again though, I was a bit thick at the time. I didn't really know how you actually work it, and I've said in a recent interview with yourself, when I set it up, I had no idea what comes along with running football. But you don't think about the financial side. You just go, let's start a football club. You don't realise what comes in it. But I think we very quickly learned that sponsorship was so big.
Yeah.
And now we try and sponsor everything
that
that we could possibly
talking about
sponsor.
sponsorships, if you want to sponsor us, more than welcome to.
That's it. But as you say now, we have obviously club sponsors, player sponsors, we have match sponsors, we have ball sponsors, we have training kits. We're trying to get as much as we can. But at the time, obviously Fit Camp, what I quoted them was the exact cost of the kit. So obviously that's a bit dumb at the time, but also there were friends and people who wanted to help, so I didn't want to take advantage of people. But I think you do have to try and get as much as you can out of, well, people, businesses as you can, because especially when you stand alone and you don't have the backing of a pro club or a men's club or whatever, it is a lot harder.
That's the thing that makes you unique as well.
It is, yeah. We'll never come away from that. But I just don't. I don't think people realise how difficult. I mean, you work a lot behind the scenes since you've come in. You've seen massively how difficult it becomes. How difficult it is.
But and just touching on that then with like women's football, then was it always the plan just to have like women's teams? Was there any plan to have men's teams? Now, obviously, we're sitting here with 5 years down the line. We've got a women's first team, a B team, and then the under 11s that Issa manages.
We had the 15s, 16s.
Oh, 15s and 16s previously, yeah. Was there any plan to expand that into men's football, or is it just purely about women at the time that you made it, and then that was what you're sticking to? And has any men's teams ever come to you about being Mancunian Unity men?
Yeah, plenty to be fair. But I think the club has its values, has its core values, has its roots, and I've never really wanted to come away from that. Even the more successful we've been, I've still always maintained that the club has its values, its roots, it's what it is.
It was made for women.
What it was made.
What
it was made to be. Like, obviously now you all know, being part of it, that we want to be as successful as we can. We want to go as high as we possibly can. But the values and the roots is still there, because we still want to build as many girls teams as possible, even more women's teams. So if we manage to get to a stage, the dream now is to have a full girls academy, to have a pro sector, to have a recreational sector, to have different sectors, but to hit as many different
areas
of
what people want and need from football. We want to try and hit.
And I feel like with that as well, you expanding it, you're going to need a partnership and stuff like that. Are you willing to?
Yeah, for me again, it's not about me. Obviously, you are wary to give the whole thing away, because if you give it to someone and they have different ideas, they might go sin a bit fit. Like, do you know what I mean? And obviously, I don't want that to happen, but it's
it's important to keep the identity as well, isn't it? I guess.
Yeah, I'm not too fussed about always being the head of it or the top of it. Like, I'm not that bothered about that. I just always want to be part of it and play a role in it.
Be really weird not to see you as manager though.
I know,
it wouldn't feel like, from someone who's been there from the start, to me, if you weren't running it.
But I don't think
but there's different pathways that it could end up going in.
Yeah.
So for example, like if we get to a certain stage and I don't know what level it might be, but I might end up struggling with the team and results might be poor. And you never know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm not naive enough to think that everything's always. I mean, we've had a struggle slightly this year so far to what we used to.
Yeah.
Not to an extreme, but I think I might end up going down a pathway where I only do the coaching, and someone, as you said, comes in, takes the club on or whatever, and they run the club, and I just do the coaching side. But then obviously, like I've said, you're at risk of getting booted. But the other side might go where I might go, do you know what? I want to just go down the road of running the club full time and then giving someone else the coaching. That's not what I want to do. I want to do coaching for my career. But you don't know what path you're going to end up going down. You don't know what's going to come with it. But at the minute, it's just trying to make sure that the club can still move forward. And I think you're right. I think we could do with someone out there coming in and wanting to be part of it, but understanding, especially at first, we might not get that much back. And those people are difficult to find.
Yeah, they are. So what are your ambitions for, like, let's say the next 5 years? Where do you want to see you?
I mean, Danny will say, sometimes I can be quite unrealistic, but I'm very much like, in 5 years, I'd like to be
National
League Prem.
I was going to say, if you say WSL right now.
I was close to saying Championship, but no, like sustained in National League Prem.
Yeah.
hopefully at a stage where we can try and start asking questions of the top bunch.
Yeah.
But that's on field. Off field, well, I guess as a collective, I'd like to have another. Do you want me to be realistic, or do you want me to of what I would like to see?
What would you like to see?
I would like to see a full girls' academy in 5 years.
And I think it is possible.
It is possible.
It is possible because
if you wanted me to be realistic, it'd probably be like one per year, so another 5. So then we'd have 6 youth teams, 2 adult teams, potentially I said the word before, like a recreational women's team.
Our own stadium.
Well, I was about to say,
our own stadium.
I know this. I've
That's
spoken
no
to a lot of
disrespect to
people
Avro.
about this recently, and people say to me, "What is the one thing you'd really like to hit next? It'd be to have our own home, our own base."
That'd be great.
Now, I always think in my head, 5 years. 5 years, it'd be very difficult to get our own home base. But again, you don't know what's around the corner. You don't know
who's out there.
who's out there. You don't know who could watch things like this. You don't know who could come watch us in games like when we're playing Leeds and Stockport County or whatever it is. You don't know what's going to happen. And, you know, fingers crossed if there's someone out there. I might win the lottery. I don't even do the lottery, but or one of you might win the lottery.
I win the lottery.
So, I see. I ever watched the programme The Wheel?
Yeah.
I watched that last night, and there was a girl called Livy on it, and she won 90 grand.
I mean, Livy.
And she has a women's team. I think was it down? I think she was down south somewhere, but she has a women's team. She won 90 grand, and she was like, I'm putting a lot of it into the club. And like, so do you know what I mean? You never know. I bet she were expecting to win 90 grand. Not that that'd get us a home ground. You probably would need at least a mil, aren't you? These days. But being honest, like, I want to have a full girls' academy. Would love to have our home ground, our home base. I think that's more long term.
Yeah.
I'd love to hit different sectors for women. So as I've said, like your flexi leagues or your recreational. And I'd like the first team to be sustained in the top tier of national. I'd like the B team to be sustained in the top tier of regional.
It is possible because 5 years ago, you didn't think we'd be here.
No,
and we
Smashing
are.
it league after league
So-
after league.
Yeah.
I mean, well, again, that you can't really say anything is impossible because, like he just said there, like 5 years ago, if you said that you'd be sat here like 2 weeks after beating Leeds United in the FA Cup, you'd be like, right, all right,
That's
good one.
true.
Yeah, but that's it though. It's as I mean, I remember seeing we did an interview before the first County Cup final we got to with Isabel, and I remember she asked us a question. I remember the answer was something like no one can tell us that we can't do something.
Mm.
So like, no one can come to me and go, "You're never gonna have a home ground," because that just means go.
Yes,
Right,
I will. Yeah.
Part that I'll come back to you in a few years. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So and then like people say like, you know, we've had a heartbreak in the County Cup, so you know people will be out there going, "Oh, they'll never win the County Cup." No problem. Like we will.
Yeah.
Like I believe everything
we
we
will
want to
celebrate
achieve.
it.
We will.
Yeah, but we want to be the biggest women's football team in Greater Manchester, only behind Man City and Man United. Everyone will laugh at us and go, "No chance." You got so many big clubs in Greater Manchester. But we're like, we can do it.
Yeah.
Now we're not saying that again. Stockport County have they're a whole professional club, have a men's club, but we can be our women's sector can be bigger than theirs.
Yeah.
It can be.
Because we're women, aren't we
That's
too?
it. Yeah, and I just think that you know we are highly ambitious, and what's good is the people that have come on board with me
are highly
are
ambitious.
highly ambitious too.
Yeah.
And that's important if you want to keep it going forward and moving forward. And
100%.
you may as well shoot for the stars and see where you get. There's no point aiming. Oh, let's just aim here and hopefully we'll hit that first. Just aim for there and see what happens.
100%.
For me, then there's no failure.
Yeah, I agree.
You're not going to go backwards, are you?
100%. We're already here, so.
That's it. But I mean, you've seen a lot, really, haven't
Yeah.
you? You've had.
I wouldn't even where we are now. It blows my mind.
What have you done? Player,
Coach,
media.
all lots.
I mean, if
Podcast
someone,
host.
podcast host. But then if you know, I know people ask questions like this. If an alien came down now from Mars, came into your little setup here and was like, "Jay, what is Mancunian Unity? What have you done with Mancunian Unity? What's your story with Mancunian Unity?" What would you say it is, and what would you say
Unique.
it's done for you? Or
It's
what?
unique. It's not like there's not a bigger club than Unity because it's a different breed.
No, not even Rochdale.
No, not even Rochdale, because you got to think Rochdale. I'm a fan of Rochdale, yeah. But I've been a part of Rochdale.
One.
Yeah, I'm a massive one, but I've been a part of that.
Yeah.
And it ruined it a bit. So Phil gave me a lifeline. And by giving me a lifeline, it's changed like women's football in general. But when I say it's the biggest club in Manchester, because to me, there's not a club like it. Because Stockport, yeah, great, but you've got a men's team. Rochdale, yeah, but you've got a men's team. FC United, yeah, but you've got a men's team. Where do you see a women's team that are just a women's team?
Yeah.
Do you get what I mean?
Mm.
So you can't, to me, they're on a different level compared to any other women's team because they don't have the backing of anyone else.
Just on that as well, like when we said about it being like women's only, as in not having male teams, like when we've been over recent years when we've gone up leagues and what have you, like you look at teams like Liverpool Feds who are similar. I don't think Liverpool Feds, but I mean I could be corrected. They haven't got a men's team, and they're like they're a standalone club like ourselves, and like it's some setup really to get to obviously like tier 3 they play at, and the sustaining tier 3 like you said that you want to be in 5 years time, and the challenges that you face with just being a standalone club is just massive, as in finance more so. I mean, to be fair, there's not actually that much money in the women's game really, is there? And that you hope that can change in like 5, 10, 15 years time.
That's what I think it was. That's where we've always, well, not relied, but we've always seen that so many people once they buy into what Unity is, they absolutely love it. I mean, your dad's a huge example, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like,
absolutely.
I think, didn't you say your mum was never even interested in?
Yeah, I'll be honest. Before I worked in women's football, coaching Ellis's under 16s at Oldham, I'd never really watched women's football. It wasn't because I didn't like it. It was because I'd never really come across it. It was never on telly.
Not really.
It wasn't really known to me.
Like,
even me.
Yeah, I didn't. I didn't have nothing to do with women's football until I went to Rochdale and took the girls' team on.
I mean, but then when you get involved in it, I'll be honest, I wouldn't go back to youth football anymore now. Being in open age, I'll be honest, I was a bit worried when I spoke to you, didn't I, about going into open age, because obviously at the time I was 25, 26, and I was like, I've never coached, like I was coaching then players that were older than me, and I was like, how can I tell them what to do? Stuff like that.
That's one of the first things you said to me.
Yeah, it was a bit of a...
I just said, you just got to trust yourself. They don't think...
Oh, he's younger than me.
Fuck off, you're 8 years younger than me, don't tell me what to do. They know your role, and you know what I mean? They know you're there to give them that.
And I certainly wouldn't go back into men's football.
No, I wouldn't. No. What have you got offered a massive gig?
I'd go back into men's football. I'm only joking. But no, it was
Send the money, buy us an home ground.
Thank you for joining us on our first episode here of the Unity Way podcast. If you like this content, please drop us a follow, a like, subscribe. Any support would help. Phil, have you got anything to say as we end this episode?
No, just your support is massive for us, like you've said. Just follow the social medias, follow the YouTube, subscribe to the YouTube, like the videos, smash comments on it if you don't like it. Stick on comments, good or bad. All engagement helps. But yeah, any ideas as well, send over to us and we'll try and cover as much as we can.